Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and I am also a doctoral student of psychology. Today, I wanted to go over a topic that a lot of you guys were asking about. What are some of the specific traits of a specific person that avoidant individuals find very attractive? And attraction is something that differs per person, but I have noticed while I'm practicing that these are commonly the traits that avoidants have reported to me they find attractive, but also the traits that their partners typically have. So if I have a couple and they're married, I notice obviously the traits that their partner has. The avoidant, let's say we have an avoidant and anxious, I start seeing the traits that the anxious person has. And I notice these patterns as I continue to see couples and individuals, and it's not as uncommon. Like these patterns are pretty obvious, right? I've seen many couples, including in my internship, right? And I've seen hundreds of relationships. I've seen hundreds of avoidants. And almost all of them have something very similar to this, but still take it with a grain of salt. That doesn't mean every avoidant has this. I just want to let you know. But the very first one, which is probably the one almost every person knows, because a lot of you guys carry this trait and you wonder, why do avoidants want me if I'm this way? Like you almost feel like this is a bad thing, but almost all you guys have it, right? It's that you're genuine, gentle, and kind, right? So you're a person who's like very open emotionally. You're a person who's honest, and you are somebody who seems very trustworthy because you are. And a lot of avoidants like this, for one, because they like the fact that they can learn from you subconsciously. If you're emotionally available and they are available in their own version, they get to learn how to be a little bit more available subconsciously, right? It's the same reason why you tend to be attracted to avoidance, because maybe you want to be a little bit more independent. Subconsciously, you feel like you can get that from them, model it, right? Which is okay. As long as you guys balance each other out, it's okay. Now, it doesn't mean that if you're two avoidants that this won't work either. I used to be avoidant and my partner used to be avoidant, but both of us tend to be somebody who we were very genuine in general. Both of us are very blunt and direct. And he was a type of person where he still is, but definitely one thing that I think a lot of avoidant males carry, but avoidance in general, he's very, like non-judgmental. So like, even like our first or second date, I remember I accidentally spilled something on my dress or something like that. And it was something that like most people would be like, a little bit judgmental of. It was, and I never do that, but like he was like completely fine with it. Like he literally helped me wipe it off my dress. I think it was it was food or something. No, it wasn't. It was some liquid, right? And it got on the bottom of my dress, and he just like completely just cleaned it like easily without any judgment. And to me, that was like, okay, that's such a genuine trait. Like most people would not go out of their way to help me do that. He was like completely fine. Like took a paper towel, whatever. He wasn't worried about it at all. He was completely fine, which I found very genuine. I really liked that about him. And then he mentioned to me I was very like direct and honest, which made him feel like he knows that I'm not hiding anything. And so I think both of us had those traits, even though we both were not necessarily 100% emotional at first. But we still carried that open, honest characteristic. So if you're an avoidant and your partner is also an avoidant, that doesn't mean you're ruled out. Like I see it a lot too. But I just wanted to let you know it's more about like that genuine characteristic, okay? The next one is affectionate for like animals and children and people who like maybe like homeless individuals or populations that are struggling from your perspective, right? I don't mean that in a bad way. And the reason why avoidants really appreciate partners who are caring for animals or children or things of that nature is because it shows that you are a person who is not 100% worried about just yourself. You can see things from another person's view. You can understand, respect, and also avoidant individuals tend to feel more connected to things that feel more safe to them. So animals or plants, right? Or the objects like their cars or their house, because it feels like they can do it on their own time. They can connect. And if they see that you have that characteristic as well, they feel very safe towards you because you guys will have similar interests, but also understand that relationships tend to be more on the perspective of how can we give instead of how can I take, right? Avoidant individuals deep inside, a lot of them tend to be pretty giving. but they're ashamed of that trait. A lot of them are, because when they were younger, their parents kind of molded them in a way where it's like you have to shut off your feelings, but you also have to be the best version of yourself. So somewhere deep inside, they do feel like if they do have a partner, they do want to give that partner everything. They really want to do as much as they can to prove themselves in a way where they care about that partner, not in a way where it's insecure, but it's in a more sacrificial type of way. And they have that inwardly, and they kind of know they do. And so they just want to know that you're not a person who's completely always expecting, and you don't have that sacrificial characteristic as well, because they want to recognize, is the relationship going to be balanced if I do commit to you? So that I'm not the only person sacrificing. And I understand that a lot of you guys will say avoidants never give. They're very selfish. I understand that it looks like that, and you're right about that. It is true, but I'm just telling you the reflection of why things happen the way they do. I'm not making an excuse, okay? The next one is avoidants do actually like and find attractive of partners who tend to be a little bit independent. That doesn't mean you have to be completely independent as them, but more so somebody who can self-regulate their emotions so that they can feel like it is a more possibility of a harmonious relationships. Avoidant individuals can get very flustered with a lot of emotions, and so they don't always know what to do or what to say when so many emotions are in their mind out of place, or they don't know where it belongs or how to fix it. And so if you can self-regulate to some extent and you're able to have a life outside of the relationship, they don't feel so much pressure about making you happy, because they feel like if they do fail a little bit, you're going to understand them, and you'll have other avenues to regulate, and you won't break off the relationship simply because they are your only source of happiness, right? The next one is direct communication. Somebody who is a little bit clear. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to be harsh, but you're clear with what you want. And when you're clear about it, you're not 100% expecting it right away, okay? You're often very open about how you feel, and you don't rely on your partner interpreting your indirect cues, right? It's helpful to a partner because regardless of if they want to do that for you or not, at least they know in case that that's something you want. Let's say you said to your partner, I would really like if, let's say you guys were together for 3 years, and you mention, I would really like if at one point we can buy a house together. You're clear about it. That doesn't mean you're saying, if you don't buy a house with me, we're going to break up. If you want to, that's your right. But let's just say for this example, that's how you put it. One day I want to buy a house. How do you feel about that? They say, okay, I'm open to it. But the reason why direct communication was very important in this particular example is because in their mind, they know, okay, maybe, remember I said, deep inside, avoidance can be very sacrificial. A lot of times when an avoidant loves you, they sacrifice for you. They like it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. And so they're thinking in their mind, okay, this is what you want. Let me see what I can do in my mind to kind of give you that while still checking if it's safe enough to do so. So it takes a little while, but in the back of their mind, it's on their radar. That's something they want to do, which is why direct communication is important. That's why it might not happen right away, but they are listening. They are hearing. The next one is they find it very attractive if you're able to let go of arguments. A lot of avoidants don't like conflict. And so if you're able to move past minor disagreements, they find that very attractive because it makes them feel like, okay, you can self-regulate, but you can also see me as my positives and not just hold on completely to my negatives. It makes them feel like they're allowed to be themselves, and they find that very attractive. It doesn't mean that you never have fights, but it means that you're able to put some arguments to the side and still, enjoy and love the relationship. The next one is the trait that they feel is attractive is if they feel you have the ability to look at another person's point of view. Let's say you guys are disagreeing about something and you don't agree with what they're saying, but you can still see it from their point of view. They find that very attractive and allows them to feel safe, but also subconsciously, they feel like they can model that from you. So if you're doing that, they're going to start picking that up as well. That's why they find it very attractive, okay? So let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's do a quick summary and then we're going to jump right off, okay? So the first one is they like very genuine, very honest, open, gentle, kind partners, okay? They find that attractive. The next one is they find it very attractive if you're affectionate to animals or other types of non-human type things like children, maybe even humans that are babies, things like that. Things that are not necessarily just affection for romantic relationships. I'm sorry, I said that probably a little wrong. I hope that makes sense. The next one is independence. They find it very attractive if you're independent. The next one is they find direct communication very attractive. The next one is the ability to let go of arguments, very attractive. And the last one is they find it attractive that you can see something from another person's point of view, okay? I hope this video makes sense. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.